Hello, I'm Newhelm. If you haven't seen my face, sort of here. I think this is gonna be my first YouTube video where I'm showing my face. Anyway, um, I want to talk about Mitchells versus the Machines. Oh, so for y'all, those of y'all who don't know me, which might be most of y'all, I'm a smoker. Well, yeah, that too, but I am ADD and autistic. And that movie was just, oh, I want to talk about the autism representation in that film. Oh my god, it was so good. For one, it was just a really good film. It's one of those kind of films I like where it's not, it embraces the camp a little bit. It goes way off into, it embraces the fact that it's a movie, right? They're not trying to. So, good example. I was actually watching Rampage earlier today with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and I like the film. So I have this principle called the Hallmark principle, that not every film has to be big blockbuster. Pick on my mom about it because she does nothing but watch a bunch of Hallmark films at home. The typical romance, boy meets girl, girl does something dumb, boy misunderstanding, and then they reconcile at the end, and boom, they get together, get married. Chances are one of them's a prince or one of them's opening a bakery. Hallmark films, we all know the type. Or if you want to do more sci-fi, a sci-fi original film, sci-fi channel original film. They're basic, they're bare bones, typically very cliche. And the Mitchells versus the Machines does have a lot of that when you break down the basic story, but it embraces it to a point, and it has fun with it. It's not a basic film, and embraces the fact that it's a film by embracing even some of the more basic elements. The redemption arc, the dad gave up this for this, typical plot points. By the way, there might be spoilers in this. I'm just rambling. I'm just using my YouTube channel to post shit that I like on here. I don't even care if anybody watches. It'd be fun. I'd love to be able to put ads and make money off of that shit. But anyway, so yeah, it's so good. Well, real quick, I do want to mention the LGBT plus representation. I feel more movies should have that. This is not an LGBT plus film. It's not about that. And they're not trying to, look, we've got representation. Look at us. Aren't we special? No, it's just there naturally. Just, she's got the lesbian flag colors flying behind her, and the rainbow all the time, and got a pen on, and she, there's a comment made at the end about Jade, and that's it. It's so normalized, and I love that. Having people that I care about that are LGBT plus, I want that kind of representation to where it doesn't have to be a movie made for LGBT community for them to have that representation. I'm not dissing on those films, just this was good representation of a film not specifically targeted to that audience. And I feel like we should have more of that. Well, like Steven Universe. Steven Universe is kind of targeted towards that community, for that community, I love the show. And hetero can watch the show, but it's kind of targeted for LGBT. And there's a lot of that out there, where if it's going to have it, it has to be targeted towards that community. No! Make a regular film that has it in there, right? Anyway. Pretty much this is a film I can show, some of my family who aren't on board with that as much. And they're not going to bitch at me the whole time about me trying to change who they are. Anyway, I'm getting off topic again. So, like I said, autism. I do that. I ramble. Yeah. So, back onto the Rampage example I was saying. The movie embraces the camp. It embraces the goofy. It embraces the fun, I watched a video on Wisecrack about how the original Mortal Kombat embraced the camp, whereas like the new movies going a little bit too serious, And a good example of that actually is Rampage. Rampage does, just like Mitchell's has like that Hallmark thing going on, that Hallmark principle. But the thing is that Rampage didn't embrace that camp. Okay, this is a video game series where you can play this lizard woman, this woman that turns into a lizard and climb up buildings and eat people out of it, and just like step on tanks, and it is a goofy ass game. There is nothing in that game that is serious at all. At all. And it's so much fun. The movie, while still being fun, they put a lot of fun into it. It follows that Hallmark thing, but it puts in that Zack Snyder realism. Oh, let me make it darker. Let me make it gritty. Oh, let me make it menacing. And I didn't like it. What I wanted to see when I saw a Rampage film is I wanted to see Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson fighting a giant gorilla, a giant werewolf, and a giant lizard person. I wanted to see the big transformations. I wanted to see somebody drinking a fucking energy drink and... I wanted to see the goofy. And they didn't do that, You can still have a serious movie and have the goofy. Mitchell's versus the Machines. Good example. Here's an even better example. Guardians of the Galaxy. Gunn is really good at that. Now, I also want to clarify, I have no problem with Zack Snyder. I actually really like Zack Snyder's films. Great example is I love the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. I have issues with 300 due to historical inaccuracies, but... And it, anyway, kind of comes off with Middle Eastern disdain. But the point I'm trying to make is like I do like Zack Snyder, and I like those gritty films. There's a place for them. But some of these films should embrace the camp. All right, I enjoy a very serious Mortal Kombat film. I also enjoy when it embraces the camp, because Johnny Cage does splits and punches people in the nuts. Can you really tell me that there's no camp in that? Which is what I liked about the original film. I do enjoy the new film, but it did lower the campiness. And Mitchell's in the Machine versus Machines embraced that shit, like full on, like grabbed it and ran with it, and I loved it. But one of the main things I wanted to talk about, and I'm looking at the recording, I'm 10 minutes in and I haven't really talked about, is the autism representation. I told you earlier I'm autistic, with a special interest in films, history, invention, pretty much anything sci-fi, robots especially. Like, you can see the mask. I'm a huge Gundam fan. Oh my lord, I'm a huge Gundam fan. Ooh. But you know, I have my special interest. Writing stories, movies, books. That's my main special interest. And I got others, but hyper focus, the rambling, this whole YouTube thing is an attempt to help me with that. Have somebody to talk to. Anyway. So yeah. There was really good representation here. You had 3 autistic main characters. And yeah, I said 3. The dad, the son, the daughter. The mom didn't show autistic traits like the dad, the daughter, and the son did. Like the dad, for great example. Dad's special interest was survival, outside camping, woodwork. You see that all throughout the film. Like he carries a number 3 screwdriver in his pocket. He carries a square-headed screwdriver in his pocket. You know, like, who does that? And before anybody says anything about some carpenter or anything, I'm a carpenter. I was a carpenter by trade for years. And you know what? I never carried a screwdriver in my pocket. Except for a few times whenever I just put it in my pocket to walk around on the job site. Got in my car, threw it in the passenger seat, didn't touch it for the rest of the day. You have to have a serious special interest in that stuff to do that. And he did. He has a special interest in that shit. The daughter, I connected with on an intense personal level because we have a very similar special interest in movies. You know? She looks through the world through a screen, through a camera, through her writing process. I do the same thing. Like, I can't tell you the number of times I'm explaining something that happened in real life, and I take a moment to stop and talk about, well, it's this TV trope. You know? Oh, that guy's a this. And they're like, what? And I'm like, you don't know what the dragon is? Dragon being like the big buff, like, secondary boss that works under the boss who's just the bruiser, basically. And they're like, what are you talking about? Or like the Batman Gambit or the David Xanatos Gambit, and like two favorite, of course, being red makes it 3 times faster. Gundam reference. And the Bright Slap, another Gundam reference. Gundam being like the series that it absorbs almost all of my time. Although I do like the other ones are DC and Sonic the Hedgehog. Don't look at me. Don't look at me like that. It's a really good series. It got really just goofy after 2006. I think because like the game didn't do as well, and they figured it was because of the serious elements, when that's not the case. 2006 didn't work because they couldn't refine it. They couldn't go over it a second, third, fourth time. For all you writers out there, and publishers and producers and everything else, you can't skip editing. You can't skip second drafts. You can't skip third drafts. You can't skip this shit, because then you get hot messes. Kingdom Hearts. Sorry. And Sonic 2006 is a good example of why you can't do that. It's got an actually pretty decent story, minus the bestiality, awkwardness, and which that actually wouldn't be that weird. It wouldn't be the first time they've done something like that. Sonic's done something like that. I think it'd be like the third time. But the problem is that they made her look too realistic. I mean, but you'll get my point. You gotta relook over things. You gotta go back over them. Anyway, back to the representation. Yeah, you gotta relook over it, and you gotta go back through it. I started back on that same topic. I'm trying to go back through the lens. So yeah, she sees the world through a lens, through the camera. I feel that. I really feel that. And like the little brother, you know, he's got one of the more obvious traits, like special interest of dinosaurs, which my daughter's best friend has a special interest in dinosaurs, and I have a theory that she is, but I think she gets it from her dad, which that's actually another thing too. Like, so we don't know a whole lot scientifically about autism, but one of the things we're pretty sure about, I'd say like 97% sure about, is that like it's passed on paternal. So if your daddy had it, good chance you have it. If you have it, good chance your daddy has it. Not so much the mama. Once again, like, we really don't know where autism comes from. I mean, it's not like it's a disease. It's just born different, atypical. The brain develops differently. So I felt that was really cool to include, that it was, you know, the dad was autistic, and then the kids got it from the dad, you know? And, so yeah. And one of the things I love about this film, and there being autistic representation from this film, is that it's not the typical film autism representation. Kind of similar to what I mentioned about the LGBT representation. Like, because there really isn't a targeted autism representation. Not a lot. Like, you'll get one or two TV shows that it's, you know, for autistic people. But typically, whenever there's a show about an autistic person, you get what? The Good Doctor. People hinting that Sherlock Holmes is autistic. And honest to God, that gives unrealistic, you know. Oh, shit. What's that? What did I do? Anyway. That gives some unrealistic, you know, opinions. Like, oh, you're autistic? You must be super smart. I mean, I am, but it's not. Don't expect me to figure out world hunger because I'm autistic. I can help you fix your story. That's about it. I know stories really well. I know demographs and things of that nature. You can't ask me to do paperwork. I can't do paperwork. You know? I suck at it. Like, for real, like, I guess don't tell anybody this. Or actually, tell anybody you want. I actually don't care anymore. I can't do a resume. I've never been able to do a resume. Paperwork just over my head. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't know why. I LARP, and there's actually a joke about how I never wear shoes because shoes really bug the hell out of me. But even more than that, like socks, I cannot wear socks. Oh my god. But yeah, you know, it feels good to have some good representation. That's not The Good Doctor, where he's way out into left field and he can't take care of himself, and he's autistic, so he's the smartest guy in the room. it puts unrealistic, expectation on somebody, I've had people tell me, like, oh, you're autistic, so what, are you, fuck, can't even think of the name of the film anymore, Robin Williams, and, Matt Damon, Good Will Hunting? I don't know. I've actually never seen the film, but I know what the film's about. People expect me to. You tell them you're autistic, and they expect you to build the next computer, to be, next Steve Jobs, or which I don't much care for Steve Jobs, or like the next Bill Gates. No, that's not how it works. I'm actually pretty dumb about shit. I still have trouble tying my own shoes. I told you I can't do paperwork. I'm a decent mechanic, but a lot of times I'm doing it and I get real dumb. Like, real dumb. I'm not actually that good at computers either. But can type out a 1,000 word story in a few minutes. Comes easy to me. Because special interest, And it's not, and it wasn't, Black Manta either. Like, I've always loved Black Manta. He's always been a favorite. One of my special interests is actually sailing. So, Aquaman. And I've got a thing for villains, so Black Manta. I mean, come on. How many DC villains do you know? How many villains do you know of killed their arch rival's baby to make a point and didn't actually succeeded? Take that, Lex Luthor. Although I really do like Lex Luthor. Anyway. So it felt good to have that representation, and I enjoyed that they had that in there, that there's this movie out there that has good representation for autistic people without the expectation, None of them were building a supercomputer. Actually, perfect example, Predators, like the newest one with the little autistic kid where he's the future of humanity and he can all of a sudden just randomly understand alien speech. Like, what? No. But it felt good, and it's a good film. The camp was great. It had LGBT representation the way I think a lot of films should have it. Where it doesn't have to be targeted at the community to have it, and that it's just so normalized that nobody's blinking an eye at it. Yeah, well, it doesn't have to be for the community. I think I said that already. It doesn't have to be for the community to have it at all. Well, that's actually pretty cool. Anyway. So yeah, it was a good film. It was a fun film that embraced the camp. And, all together, I thoroughly enjoyed this film, Plus, I really like the fact that there is an autistic woodsman in it, You really don't even you see that even less. You see that a whole lot less. Somebody's autistic, then they automatically got to be, something techie or medical or higher intelligence or one of those typical things that they say, So, like, movies fit in there. Dinosaurs is this scientific study. Like, he kept mentioning about, like, him and the girl kept mentioning about the feathers. That was adorable. But like, for real, honestly, carpentry is a pretty big something that I can very easily see autistic people being interested in. A good example is actually my father. Now, it's not carpentry per se, but building and mechanics are a big thing with him. That's one of his special interests. It's the creation of doing these, the fixing things up. He is all about that. I saw a lot of my dad in her dad, and I saw a lot of me in her. Although me and my dad have a different kind of relationship. Me constantly trying to push him to do more. He constantly saying, "I'll never do it." Anyway, that's something for a complaint for another day. But yeah, no, it was a really good film. I can get off topic several times and I can gush about it more, but it was a great film. Oh, Lord. So much fun. And I love the robots too. I love that they included them, they weren't just a passing thought. And it's a good family film. One thing I also really loved about the film is that it wasn't one way or the other. Technology good, technology bad. No, there's good and bad with technology in our everyday life. There's good and bad. When you're on the phone to a point that you're bumping into something or walking into the middle of the street, that is a problem. But I literally am talking to my phone for YouTube to help me with my autism. I use my phone to find places when I need to go there. I have the world at my fingertips when I need it. And the movie made that perfectly clear. That technology is good, but it can also be bad. So I really like that it took that stance. It wasn't one of those, oh, technology is evil and you've got to watch out for it. Oh, like Black Mirror. I like Black Mirror. But every episode of, I can't watch it too much because every episode of Black Mirror is like, technology bad. Technology bad. Technology bad. And, I'm a little bit of a techie. I like tech. Which, thinking about from this video, is kind of weird. I don't know how to use the computer real well, but I love tech. Huh. But anyway, yeah. I wanted to say that, like, I thoroughly enjoyed the film. It's a very good film. And it's kind of up there as one of my new favorites. It's definitely going in my favorites category. Anyway, I'm New Helm. Thank you for listening to me ramble. And y'all have a good night.